Hello and welcome to the Table Talk Wednesdays here at the CDL Café, where leadership isn't just talked about, it's challenged. This isn't your typical leadership conversation. This is where we gather around the table every week to ask hard questions and put character back to the center of how we lead. Sometimes it's just us, the team, sharing real reflection, and sometimes we pull up an extra seat for a guest whose voice brings fresh perspective, bold insight, and lived experience to the table. Because around here, we believe leadership that isn't rooted in character won't last. Leadership that doesn't challenge the system won't change it. And leadership that's all image and no substance isn't leadership at all. So grab your coffee, lean in, and let's get into today's table talk. Let's go.
Topic that we started 2 weeks ago, but
deeper.
We're gonna continue actually, and this is a good sign actually, because whatever topic you highlight on, you cannot put an end for it. We can keep going on talking about the same topic from different angles, and this is a sign that tells us that it's important that we highlight on such topics. It's important to highlight on what matters and what is getting in the way of leading with character. That's why people don't lead with character, because there are some hidden stuff that we're not highlighting on. There are some things that we're not putting our fingers, we're not putting our hands on. So I mean, we have to keep. I mean, the topics are endless. If we want to highlight on what's stopping people from leading with character, topics are endless. And so we decided that this episode is going to be a part 2 and maybe part 3, because they're all connected at the end of the day. What we're talking about is how leaders can lead with unhealed wounds. And this has to do with emotions. We have Atala who knows more about emotions because she's dealing with clients almost on a daily basis, who talk about their challenges. We have Dr. McKinsey, who connect with entrepreneurs who face challenges, and it all goes under one umbrella, which are the emotions that we are dealing with on a daily basis. And there are people who are leading with unhealed wounds, and this has a cost. So that's why we are going to speak about this topic as a part 2, and we are going to have guests who will be joining us to speak about the same topic from different perspectives as part 10. So let's go from there. Let's pick it from where we stopped. Let's start with you, Atala. What do you think?
Well, this is a very delicate topic, because we all are moving with emotions. Whatever we're doing, whatever we're leading, in life, in business, we are overlapping with emotions. Many times we're not even listening to them. Most of us, we just silent them. So what is happening is there is a lot of frustration, there is a lot of anger, there is a lot of fear sometimes also when people are leading others. There is a lot of guilty. And all these emotions are affecting the way that we're leading people, the way that we're even leading ourselves. What I have found is the deprivation of not listening to ourselves, first of all, to really not being able to connect with what I'm feeling in this moment, where this anger is coming from, to really identify those emotions. In that way, we can work through them, right? Never deny them, But just being so able, be so open to yourself, say, I am feeling maybe exhausted, and I'm trying from my exhaustion. That's not going to be from creative, right? Energy. It's going to be just from lack of energy. So I think emotions are so important to identify. I think in leadership, we need to be able to have those one-to-one talks with ourselves to see how I am leading my staff. Maybe they are my own fears, my own frustrations who are transferred to them. That makes sense?
Total sense. What's your input, Dr. McKinsey?
Well, as I was thinking about this topic and us going into this today, it took me back to when I was working for this hotel, and I was a front office manager. And this was in 2001, when when we had the Twin Towers in New York attack. And we had a GM at the time, and you by looking at him, you would have never thought that he was a leader operating with wounds and with unhealed issues. And a week after, and the reason that it's so strong in my head, because it was a week after 9/11 happened, he actually wound up killing himself, and he wound up hanging himself in it. From what they told us, he hung himself in his basement. So you never know what people are going through, what wounds they have, unhealed wounds that they have that they're dealing with. And as leaders, I know you don't share it with those that you are leading or anything like that, but there has to be an outlet for you when you feel as if you are that wounded, when you feel that you can't operate at that level. You've got to find someone when it gets to that point for you, in order to be able to understand how to dig through it. I don't know if 9/11 played a part in it. I mean, I think that it more so had to do with family issues than that. That might have just been the culminating thing that just kind of took him over that, over that edge and everything like that. But we've got to understand, we're operating with leadership with wounds and unhealed wounds. It can be dangerous to you. It can be dangerous to those that you lead. The thing that I think many people appreciated when it did happen, they did bring in for us, if we wanted to, counseling, where you were able to talk with somebody about it, because that's a devastating thing. You just go through this tragic 9/11 thing that killed, and was killing so many people in New York, in the area, and people were trapped in the buildings, just a whole mess. And then you throw on top of that someone that you worked for goes and commits suicide. It was a culminating thing. And that's even just like now, what we're going through. Leaders understand that even though the pandemic is 5 years ago, we're still dealing with that. And a lot of people are still dealing with those unhealed wounds as leaders. So we've got to understand this leadership thing and how to be able to not only make sure that the people that you're leading are okay, but you got to make sure, and Natalia, I'm sure you can speak more on this, you got to make sure that you are okay. What are you doing to make sure that you are okay?
Dr. McKenzie, you just mentioned something so important, because many times we silence, again, the feelings, our emotions, because also think about society tell you have to be strong.
Right.
You don't need to cry. I mean, family sometimes, no, you can never break down. You have to move, you have to keep going. So we create this kind of mindset, this kind of belief system, society, family, all the rules and policies. So we're in constant motion of evading emotions. Because if you are vulnerable, that means that you are weak. When in reality you are strong, So it depends which perspective we're seeing life. But it's very important because that's why now you see more and you hear even more. That person took away his life because he never expressed anything, because he silenced his voice, because he thought that he was not anybody to speak up. That makes sense? Many times, kids also, for example, they think that they don't need to share anything because also they are moving in fear, how the parents going to react. Think about this is from little ones, right? But also we grow with that, we start growing with that kind of mentality that is affecting leadership in these days. Being able to silence what we really feel, it's killing us. That's creating a lot of stress, a lot of tension, a lot of illnesses, a lot of disconnection from ourselves. I'm sorry, we can. We think we're doing
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
But we can't. We create that kind of mentality that, yes, I'm doing my best, I always doing everything for everybody, which is another liar. We are doing things for everybody, but we're not doing things for ourselves. So that is a huge contradiction right there.
That's what I'm talking about. You see, now we said that we're going to have part 2 because of such thing. Now we're highlighting on something that is very, very, very important. The people that we are surrounded with, who are the people that we can confront or we can be vulnerable in front. Of course, not the people that we're leading, because we have to lead by example, but we need to have somebody in our life that can listen to us, that we can share with them, and not only sharing with them for our benefit, but also listen to them. It's give and take. Hold ourselves accountable in sharing the challenges that we're going through. Just having somebody who's listening to us, and we having the ability to listen to them, that's going to be empowering everyone. Like it's going to be empowering me. It's going to be empowering the other person. And I'm saying this out of experience.
But first of all,
yeah, go ahead.
Yes, for being able to even ask for help, we need to understand that we don't need to even doubt that we are more than enough to ask for help. That makes sense? Many times people don't believe that they need help. Maybe they have believed that that it's okay. It's okay to not feel. It's okay to not express. It's okay to always keep your ideas silent, which is not okay, because that person also needs to be able to be brave, to be able to be herself or himself. Many times,
awesome.
see leaders too, that they try to please everybody, not lead, please, because they want to be accepted, right? So that validation you are putting outside yourself, and that will also lead you to exhaustion, because when you try to please everybody, you are not listening to your own needs again. That makes sense. It can be seen from different perspectives.
Yes. So by you highlighting on this, I want you to, like, whoever is watching now, they want to hear something important. They want to know, how do I do that? Just, don't give me 1, 2, 3. Just say something out of your experience. Like, how do they do that? How do they believe in themselves? How do they feel brave that they can share and listen?
I think it's about relearning how you have seen yourself, relearning your experience or our experience. Usually, we don't validate the value. We don't appreciate the value. We see like it happened to me, I overcame, that's it. There is gold right there, right? There is so much experience and wisdom that we are not even aware. But what happened that we have see our life like another obstacle, another obstacle. I'm not anybody, I don't see how can I arrive there. I don't see even how I can be or start my own business, for example, or how can I start a new life if I come from a, dysfunctional family, which is most of the time. We're always continually like cultivating the pain, the guilty, the shame, from our experience and life, which in reality is about relearning. How do I see? How is my identify my inner dialogue at the point that you can truly say, this is a pattern. So I need to work in this. It's a very deep work, but it's worth it. It takes, the energy, the commitment, the discipline to work in ourselves.
Yeah, and can I add something to that? I think that's the difference to me, and you all can speak on this. I think that's the difference between just communicating with people and connecting with people. When you have a connection with someone, it makes it a lot easier for you or for them to be able to have those conversations that need to be had so that if I'm a leader and I'm having some difficulty with something, whether it's family, whether it's personal, whether it's job related, I have that connection. I mean, we all do. We've been on jobs where there's certain cliques, there's certain people that that you feel comfortable with, that you feel good with,
Yes.
and then there's people just like, hey, how you doing? And you keep it moving, that type of thing. But I think the key to what you were asking, Doc, I think is connection. Who do you feel connected enough to? Who do you feel trusting enough to be able to say, hey, I need to talk. You got a minute? And I had at each of my jobs that I've had working in corporate America, I had someone like that. There was at least one person that I had a really good chemistry with and really good connection with, and we could talk about anything. We could talk about anything that was going on, whether it was related to the job or whether it was home and everything like that. Now, not everybody liked that because people wanted you to share all of your business. I'm not telling you my business. You don't need to know my business. I'm here to do a job. That's what I'm here to do. And that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going home. But the other people, the other person that I was connected to, yeah, we had all kinds of conversations. We would talk all the time because we understood each other, and there was this bond that we had. And when you don't deal with your unhealed wounds, to me, I think one of the things is you tend to have people that will, you take things personal versus it just having to do with the job or whatever. Because you may see it one way because you're dealing with something that's outside. It has nothing to do with what they were telling you, and they could be accurate, but because you were in your feelings, or you don't haven't dealt with what it was or what it needs that you need to deal with, you're taking it as an attack on you, or you're taking it as something totally different. You're not really focused, to me. And somebody from the outside can be like, come here. Yeah. What was that all about? That didn't have anything to do with what they were trying to do or what we're trying to do get here. And I always think about I don't know if y'all ever saw the movie Lean on Me. It's a movie called Lean on Me. It's about a principal. His name is Joe Clark. Great movie. But there's a scene in the movie where Joe Clark and I want to say he was a superintendent, played by the actor Robert Guillaume, but they're having this argument, and they were friends. They're having this argument, and Principal Joe Clark, he was this really rigid, forceful, just no nonsense type of guy. And his friend, when they were having the argument, he's trying to tell him, look, you can't be this way, this one way. You've got to deal with, and his, he was walking around always angry, so to speak. And he had a particular right, because he was angry about the things that how they would treat, the educational system was treating the students. So as a consequence, he took that on himself. But the way that his approach wasn't the right approach at this particular time. And so his friend was telling him, look, you did this and you were wrong. You did this, if you care about the kids as you say you do, then you can't do this all the time. You can't do this way. There's a way that it needs to be done, but you're doing it the wrong way. And so they have this really just going back and forth, deep conversation. And he was able to tell him, look, no, you're going to do this. You want to talk about discipline? You need to start with being able to be disciplined and being able to be told the truth yourself. And it's funny because it was, and this is, this was two black men. So, and it was so true. And everybody, we talk about it all the time. They argue, fuss, and everything, and everything right there. And all Joe Clark says to the guy, he was like, well, come on, let's go get something to eat. And so as Joe Clark was walking out, he's like, you think you bad, don't you? But that's what, when you have that chemistry, when you have that rapport with somebody,
Yes.
you can tell them, look, no, you're dealing with this from a hurt aspect, and you need to deal with that before you can deal with those that you're leading, and you wind up hurting them in addition to hurting yourself as well too. So it's
but
big.
Dr. Mackenzie, many times people don't have that access.
Yeah.
Many times people have been, told to be strong. Again, be strong. You know how many times that has resonated in your mind over and over, that when you are feeling so, intimidated or weak or fragile, you cannot be able to express that because you have to be strong. So that's very difficult, because that's where sometimes we are working from exhaustion, from no energy, no creativity, keep moving, keep doing, but we're not arriving anywhere. So it's very important, because also the person that, for example, maybe is a leader, not the one that is just pleasing, the one that is also very exhausted, maybe the one that is always moving in fear, the one that is always making any decision from fear. So that's not even creating, not just creating solution, but just the energy of the synergy in a team. So it's very important that we need to be able to identify that expressing your emotions needs to be reframing, because every person says, oh, I'm great, I'm doing fine. We cover and protect our own selves, but we shouldn't be protecting. We shouldn't be able to say, I feel sad for this. I feel, I'm moving in fear because maybe something that happened in the past is triggering me, and it's connecting me in the present. Or maybe because, what, I was always very quiet at home. I never had the opportunity to speak out and share my point of view. So that's the same thing is going to happen in the future. And this doesn't have to be psychoanalysis, it has to be just go back to you. Go back to your emotions, to your feelings, to your experience, your life story, not like you are the victim. You are the hero in your story. You are the hero. You are the one who went through, who accomplished some things, who overcame. You are the one who are the creator of your story. But how are you telling yourself over and over? That has an impact in how you're living, family, even friends, your business, in everything that you're doing.
Thank you for sharing this, because I think that this is the point that whoever will be watching the video will need to hear. Despite whatever you're going through, the solution is for you to believe that you are the hero of your story. You are the hero of your story. So with that being said, imagine yourself watching your story, watching your movie, and you being the hero in front of you. So how do you expect you to solve your problems?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you want, like you are the, what do we call it? The producer? Yeah, you are the producer, and you are the hero at the same time. When we watch a movie, like what you just said, Atala, you brought something to my mind. When you watch a movie, you're watching the movie from the eye of the producer.
Mm-hmm.
You're not watching the movie from the character perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You're watching it from the eye of the producer. So you are the producer of your own story. At the same time, you are the hero of your story. That's what Atala was saying. And I believe that this could be the starting point of how you can get yourself out of what you are in at the moment, regardless of what it is. We all have challenges at different levels. And God, I believe, gives us the challenges based on what we fear in life.
Yeah.
That's why we have the challenges fit to our own journey. Maybe my challenge is nothing for you, Dr. McKinsey. It's nothing for you, Atala. At the same time, your challenge is hard for you, but it's easy for me. It's easy for Dr. McKinsey, and it's just like that. Challenges are fit for our journey. So we have to understand that the challenges that we're going through are based on what we fear in life, and that's what we have to overcome. So you
And
have
that,
to see
yes,
yourself as the hero. Yep,
and
go
that
ahead.
also, we need to understand that fear is always going to be with us, regardless, you know. When we start a new business, we are fearful about how we're going to make it. How? We don't even know how. But at the same time, it's inviting into our lives. Last, the other day we were mentioned something like this. Because at the end of the day, fear doesn't have to stop us. Has to be able to give us that energy to say, I'm gonna do it anyway. You know, I'm gonna just invest in me. I'm gonna go ahead and share what I'm very, very good about it. But it's coming from also, again, our awareness. If I see my life like a victim, I'm gonna feel very weak, you know. I'm not gonna make any decision because I don't even believe in me. But if I see myself as the hero that has been really overcoming all these obstacles over and over, but also has been able to have compassion over herself or himself, that's different. Because we don't need to pretend. We're human, we feel everything. Every emotion is in our skin. But at the same time, we need to be able to say, I'm gonna also treat myself as I'm treating others. With that love, with that kindness, with that empathy, because I am important. And I need to rebuild myself, not from guilty, not from pain, but from that connection. The connection that we're talking, that has to be implicit also, that compassion. That empathy has to be given to myself as well. In that way, I can see more the role of the hero, not from that struggle, pain, suffering, but also from that other perspective of becoming better because I'm treating myself better as well.
Yep. Dr. McKinsey.
No, I mean, and this is why these conversations are so important. And doing the part two, Doc, I thank you for doing a part two to this, because you have a lot of leaders who have not healed, and not just that they have not healed, they don't know how to heal. So having these conversations to be able to guide them in how to be able to deal with with their obstacles and the challenges that they have. I do truly believe that this is a part of giving them that guidance that they may not have be privy to, or they just showing them, hey, be honest enough to say, you know what, yeah, I am challenged in this area. I do need to heal in this area, but I don't know how to do it. And if I'm tuned in to, to the character-driven leadership, the conversations on Wednesday, I can get the tools that I need in order to be able to equip myself with how to be able to walk through it. I saw one of my friends on here, one of my business associates on here, who I'm looking to be able to have on the show. And that's what he does too, just like Italia. He gives his clients the tools. I mean, I can't wait for him to be on here. I want y'all to be a part of it because I think it ties into what we're talking about today. But being able to understand the challenges, but to know how to face those challenges, to have the tools, because many leaders don't have the tools. That's the thing.
Right.
They don't have the tools to know how to deal with it. But when you give them the tools to be able to walk through it, then it looks different. Then you have different work environments. When you have a different work environment that people are part of, it becomes a healthy work environment versus a toxic work environment. And and when you deal with it from an unhealed place, you are that unhealthy, toxic environment because you haven't dealt with what you needed to do. You are the toxicity in that environment. And until you fix that, or you get fixed and get removed, then the environment, an unhealthy work environment is one of the worst places that you can be. And I've told y'all my situation where, and it wasn't even necessarily the people or whatever. It wasn't them at all. It was mainly me. I was the unhealed one. So as a consequence, I was the one who was making the environment non-productive. I was the one that was making the impacting the bottom line. I was the one that was making the relationships toxic. And until I dealt with that, it dealt with me, I should say, dealt with me, then I was able to lead properly and be able to be the leader that I needed to be. But many of us are walking around in this day and time and with so much going on in this world. And I'm talking people, navigating through having to fire people, navigating, worried about whether you're going to be the next person gone, even as leaders, that you may be if you're working with someone, you may be the next one that is gone. I had one of my friends that's a part of the organization that we are on together. She texted us yesterday saying that her and it was like 300 other people that was working in this particular branch of the government that we have here, they lost their jobs yesterday or day before yesterday.
Oh.
Gone.
Well.
Yeah, your services are no longer needed. Don't come here tomorrow. So how do you, as a leader, how do you even deal with that? The ones that are still there and the ones that got let go. We are living in some very, very, trying but unhealed times, and people are looking for ways to be able to solve and navigate through this, because it's not easy. It's mental, it's spiritual, it's all these different things that we have to deal with.
Can I tell you something? I think that what I have learned is that we're always going to go through difficult times, through transitions, through moments of how am I going to deal with this, put you in a fearful stage, per se, something. But I do believe that also your spirituality, your growth in that area is very important, very important. Because think about it, sometimes our mind goes everywhere, our body is just, feeling all these emotions. We're vibrating very, very low. But I think that when also you grow as a person, but also in your spirit, that keeps you more like in alignment, at peace. And that's something that also will have impact in how you're leading, in how you're responding or reacting, in how do you see your world. That makes sense? So it's also about being aware about there are several areas in where we can grow, but many times we're growing everywhere else except inside of ourselves. We want to achieve more, we want to have a bigger house, we want to change the car, blah, 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 but we are not growing as a person.
Mm.
So that
Mm.
person needs to evolve as well, not just financially, but personally. In that way, we can become better leaders in family and business.
Yep, yep, yep. So here's the thing. Um, let's stay away from theories. We are living in today's world. I want each one of you, starting from Atala and then Dr. McKinsey, to share the cost that we are witnessing today. I
Mm.
want you to share real-time cost that we are witnessing today as a result of people dealing or leading with unhealed wounds.
Wow, we can see very easily, I think, people taking away their lives. Every time you hear more of this, people going through panic attacks more and more often. People that they are going through depression, with anxiety, with not feeling valuable. People disconnected from themselves, not able to sleep, not have energy, no productivity, no that kind of, like that kind of, I don't know how to say it, no inspiration, but that determination to keep moving in life. But from that connection, connection means to me also that we have one more day to make the best of. One more day. When I'm talking about this is because I can go back to my experience in the hospital, seeing great entrepreneurs, great leaders, but not being able to move. They used to tell me I could give everything that I had for one moment of peace, to be able to move again. So I think so many consequences. Our emotional well-being shouldn't need to be negotiable. Should needs to be a priority, because that will affect my relationship with myself, with my loved ones, with my clients, with people around me, with my friends, with society, with everybody else. So this is like a call. We need to go back to ourselves, to be able to listen to our emotions, and being able to ask for help if we need it.
And what's the result? Like how is this? It's affecting the leader, but how also it's affecting the people that they are leading.
Well, that is the same thing, because we're mirrors. If we're not leading, I mean, with not just the right mind, but with that energy, with that with that inner power, inner strength, we're also expressing that to our staff. Our staff learn from us. If we're
Mm.
moving with resentment for something that happened at home, I'm transferring that energy to them. If I'm moving from
Mhm.
guilty because maybe I make the wrong decision, and maybe I only know that it was my fault and I never speak out. For example, guilty is one of the lowest levels of energy that we can find in emotions. So that's going to be transmitted to them as well. No? So if I'm
Mm.
moving in fear, because I don't know which decision to make, because maybe I want to please everybody. It's a lot of things going on, so that's affecting also the results, the teamwork, solving problems, having more creativity in your team, just being able to find solutions easily. But also, it leads to burnout as well.
Mm. Mm. Your input, Dr. McKinsey.
Yeah, it's costing you three things really quickly. The cost of it is your health, because you're not healthy. You're not you're stressed out. Your body, you're not getting enough rest. You're not clear minded. You don't have clarity. So it's
Mm.
costing you in your health. It's costing you in your wealth or your finances, because if you're operating from an unhealthy place, I promise you you're not going to last too long on that job, because it's going to impact your productivity on that job,
Mm.
and they're going to let
Mm.
you go. So it's going to
Mm.
cost you, it can cost you your finances and your job, and which goes to the last thing, which is going to cost you your relationships, both on, professionally, because if you haven't dealt with it when you go to that next job interview or you're talking, people are going to see the same thing. If you haven't dealt with it, you're going to deal with the issue over and over again, and it's just gonna rear its ugly head. And then on the personal side, your relationships, whether if you're married, it's going to impact your spouse. If you have children, it's going to impact your children. It's going to impact your other family members and everything like that, because you're going to be this irritating, person who is just mean and hasn't dealt with things. So those three areas are what I say will cost. It will cost is costing you when you're trying to lead from an unhealthy place, the impact of those areas, and it kind of filters out from there. But it all begins, I believe, it begins with those. It begins with your health, your finances, and the relationships that you have.
Guys, are you ready to be under spotlight? Let me know. I'm asking you in front of everybody.
Of course.
Are you willing to be?
Yes, why not?
All right. So, we are here at the Character Driven Leadership Cafe. And we said that we are transparent, we are real, true, transparent in everything, and we're talking from our heart. We've been talking about topics and sharing our experiences. Sharing the three things that you need to do, sharing this, sharing that, and talking about our observation around something specific in a specific area. I want you, so people can feel it and can hear it. We are going to close out this episode, but with a personal story from you, Atala, and a personal story from you, Dr. McKenzie, that shows that you are speaking from your heart. You are speaking from your real experience. You're speaking from, something that you seriously went through yourself. So people don't think that we are talking buzzwords. We're talking something out of something that we've learned or we heard. We need to connect with people. I'm being real. We need to connect with people. We need to tell them that what we are sharing is something that we experienced ourselves. We are testimony of what we've been going through. So one experience from you, Atala, I want you to share a personal story that reflects what you've been sharing. And then we'll go to Dr. McKenzie, because we need to give real-time support and help to those who don't know where to start in order to unheal themselves and start leading from a fresh place. So let's go, Atala.
Well, for me, is one of them. The life experience was when I went through my divorce. As I share with both, I went through a divorce. No divorce is beautiful. I mean, it's always painful. But in my case, I ended with nothing materialistic, although I worked also hard during those years. And I ended, thank God, with my son, which is a motivation for me. But I learned through those painful moments to truly go back to what I was feeling. I was feeling sadness, of course. I was feeling fear because I didn't know what is coming next. I was feeling even guilty because of what I did, to end in this situation. And I went through all the emotions. During those emotions, I had to go back to see that Atala, to say, this is a process. It's going to take you far away. But right now you need to feel it. You need to go through all those experiences. I actually was able to really, really work a lot in myself. I even didn't know what I was doing, but I was learning a lot of techniques that I use now. But it was very painful. I went to Mexico, then I stayed in Mexico for almost a year and a half. I was always coming back to bring my son to the United States, and I was always the one to just doing everything. That's what I say sometimes. Sometimes we are the ones who do everything, and we forget about ourselves. So To make a long story short, I came back. I started over again. I decided to come back to the United States for my son to see his dad, and I accomplished that, which was the most important to me. So I learned the power of forgiveness. I learned the power to be compassionate to yourself. I learned the power of being grateful for the little things in life, and I was able to also understand that I was leaving my son. So I always thought, like, what is the legacy that I want to leave to him? And that gave me a lot of awareness. So painful moments lead me to awaken moments to understand that this is life. And also that nobody is perfect, that we all make mistakes, that we all have different level of consciousness, and that's perfectly fine. But I choose, because we can always choose, from that story to extract not just knowledge, but wisdom. And that was something that turned around my life, and I recreate my life in many different ways. And until now, I was able to create a relationship, a beautiful relationship with my son, but also a healing relationship with my husband. Because again, we all have different level of awareness. We all are different. We come from different family values, so that is not right and wrong. This is life. But the most important for me was, what do I want to learn? And how I can turn this experience into one of the most powerful experiences, to be able to extract wisdom from there and share with my son and actually with people around me.
Awesome. Dr. McKinsey, what's your story?
Yeah, as I was thinking here, and this goes to what I was just talking about with health, your finances, and your relationships. This was years ago. As a manager, working as a manager again, in the hospitality industry, and my girlfriend at the time, we were together, and I was so frustrated with being where I was that one, I wasn't resting like I needed to be. I wasn't getting the proper amount of rest. I wasn't, because I was stressed out at work and everything like that. So I'm not resting well. I'm not being as productive as I wanted and needed to be on the job. And as a result of that, I was taking out my frustration from my job on her. And we would, get into these arguments about nothing, about nothing. And it would just lead to, because it had to do nothing with her, but it had to be with me and the frustration that I was of being on this job that I didn't want to be in, and having to take what I was taking on the job, and as a recourse, taking it out, taking the frustration out on her. That's the health and the relationships that I was talking about. And then even you throw in, on top of that, not being paid what I felt like I should have been being paid, and being being underpaid, and feeling like, look, I'm on this job that I don't want to be in, not paid enough money to deal with the stuff that I'm dealing with, and then having someone who was home, and now you probably speak to this more than I can. What happens is, when you're dealing with unhealed, those unhealed things, you take it out on the closest person that's there with you. She was that one, because she was there with me every day, and dealt with that aspect of it. But being able to, come through it, and being able to understand where I was, what I needed to do, and removing myself out of the situation on the job, helped me to be able to deal with it, because once that was no longer an issue, then the other things kind of moved away with the relationship, and then with the finances as well too. So to me, that's my story, when it comes to dealing with these issues that we're talking about today, the unhealthy issues that we have when you don't deal with them, and then the results of it, what it can cost you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being transparent with this, and authentic, and sharing your stories. Again, the reason is because we want to show people that we're not talking theories, we're not talking things that we heard or something that we've learned. Of course, we heard and we've learned things, but also it comes from our own experience. That's why we feel it. That's why we feel it. From the words you use, from the tone of voice, you feel that this thing is authentic and this thing is real. And the reason also, the other reason that I asked you guys to share your stories is because you shared so many things that I personally went through. When you get frustrated on the person who is living with you, when you feel that you're pressured and there's no way out, and everything seems closed, and you have nobody, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you see someone who could be the one that you can talk to, you know. So I felt like I wanted to ask you guys. I don't want to share mine now. Maybe I will share it later
Oh,
when
see,
it's all completed.
he think he's gonna get away with it. He tried to. That's what he tried to do. Leave it to the end, so he didn't have to. He didn't have to share his
No, no, no,
story.
no, no. No, no, no. Believe me, because I don't want to. I don't like. I'm the one who's talking, so I don't want to take the highlight from you guys. But for sure, when my story is completed, I'm gonna share it 100%. Um, you know, and maybe we will have one episode where you two guys start asking me questions, and
I
I will
would
share
love to.
everything you
I
want.
would love to.
Okay. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Each one of you ask me a question, whatever comes to your mind, and I will share whatever you want, and we'll close it out from there. Deal?
Deal. Okay. I have one.
Go ahead.
What would no? I was thinking in Spanish. No, sorry. What is one of the most painful
Hola.
moments? What? Hola. It's because you know what? I saw a friend of mine from France. He said, "I need to be when you are guys are in Spanish because he speaks Spanish as well." So anyhow,
We will, yeah, and this is great. We're going to have something cooked in Spanish.
that
So
would be wonderful.
this is a promise.
That would be wonderful.
Go ahead.
So, which has been one of the most painful moments in your life?
The painful moment in my life.
And how did you turn that moment around?
The painful moment in my life
Yes.
was when my father passed away last year. That was the most painful moment in my life because I've been I've been having my own business. I'm not living in the country. I'm not living in my country, so I'm not a citizen, which means that I don't have all the benefits and everything that everyone has. And I don't live in a place where expats have benefits. So it's been 15 years that I'm running my own company or my own business. Let's say I don't have a company. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. It's not a company. It's my own business as remote and freelance, offering consultation and everything. Um, After COVID, I've been affected big time, and that was like everything started descending since 2020 when COVID hit, and last year was hold on one second. No, 2 years ago. Wow, time's passing so fast. 2023, it was the past, like my father passed away, and I was taking care of him. And as a result, at this, like in parallel with my business losing everything, I was taking care of my father, and things kept going worse and worse. I lost a lot of things, and but I kept on standing and never made my father feel anything. I mean, he didn't feel any turbulence. He didn't feel anything that was going on. I was hiding everything from him because he was diagnosed with cancer. So I knew how important it is to keep him in a certain state, to stay healthy. But at the end, when time comes and God decides to take someone from us, it's time. So that was the pain moment in my life. And from that moment, I felt that I have jumped 3, 4 levels in my awareness, and so many things popped up. I understood life in a different way. I knew where I was going wrong. I knew where I was mistaken, and I was blaming myself the whole way, all the way. I was blaming myself because I was evaluating how I was reacting and responding in some areas, and what are the I mean, I learned a lot of things. I learned decision making. I learned standing firm and tall in front of those who are depending on you. So, long story short, this was the painful moment, and this is how I'm turning this into a victory. Um, I learned something that very important, so we can go to the next question from Dr. McKinsey. I learned something that is very important. There are some people in your life when they pass away, and you think that it's normal, you think it's a moment and it will go. But there are some people in your life when they pass away, they are the ones, or they're passing, like when they leave, the moment they leave, it's going to be a major turning point in your life, and it's going to teach you a very deep lesson. Very deep lesson, and it's going to change the root of your thinking. It's going to make you feel that you are reborn again. So this was
Thank you so much. It was very deep and real, and I completely understand you. We go to the next question because I have some similar experience than you in that specific area.
sure. Dr. McKinsey, hit me with it.
No, I mean because I guess because of time, I'm not gonna to have a question for you, but I will say this. In your having to deal with your father, and you mentioned something that I think stuck out to me was about you didn't allow him to be able to feel, the pressure and all those things, from what you were dealing with and everything like that. But what were you doing? Because you obviously were taking on that burden. What have you learned from this conversation that we had today as you reflect on that time that you had that you were spending with your dad back then? You didn't want him to feel the pain, but obviously you were feeling the pain as well. You were feeling the pain. What have you learned today in being a leader, being unhealed in that moment, and dealing with everything that you had to deal with to now, and how you were made different because of that, what you learn now?
I didn't quite get you.
Okay. All I was asking was, you said you didn't want your dad to feel any
Yeah,
of the that was going through, right? That you were going through
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
because you wanted him to be healthy. But what did you learn? What have you learned from the conversation today in you
Oh,
being unhealthy because of all of the burden that you were taking on back then? You didn't want your father to feel it, but can you speak to were you feeling it or not?
yes,
And how you can
yes,
now
yes,
feel
yes.
healed
Got it.
to do
I got your point. I got your point. I was taking everything out on the people who were around me.
it.
I was reacting a lot, and I was hurting those who were around me, and by doing so, I was misunderstood in so many areas, and I paid the price for that. But again, God have His own plans to clarify things at the later on stages. But at that moment, the cost was I was reactive. Um, I made some people lose trust in me in some particular in some particular times. But then everything got clarified after a period of time, after a few months or a year or so in this time, and everything was clarified. And then whoever had to stay in my life, they stayed in my life. Whoever had to leave, they had to leave. And another thing that I have learned is that really, 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 in hard times and hard moments and in such situations, you can know by heart and you will see it and you will feel it who has character and who's transparent and who's true and who is not, who must be in your life and who must leave. You will understand who's been there for you and who's not. So this was the thing. Yeah, I paid the price by losing temper, by reacting, but now I learned that I have to control myself to a level where I have to be responsive no matter what. I have to change. And here's the thing. I'm gonna leave it with this. We always have to evaluate ourselves, and we always have to redefine the things that we need to understand, right? So we can live up to the level of the place that we reached in our life. So we have to keep on redefining and refining ourselves so we can stay up to the level and lead the right way that we have to lead. And I think that the initiatives that I thank God for it, that I'm doing, and maybe in our meeting I mentioned it, I'm going to take everything out, the things that I had them pending in my drawers, and I'm going to make sure that before I leave this earth, I have to die empty of everything that I'm holding inside and serve the world with it.
Thank you so much, because I think that makes a difference, you know. Get to know more even ourselves through these conversations. People would see everybody goes through something in life. Everybody deals in a different way too. But at the end of the day, we all are worth of sharing, of expressing, of becoming, of believing that the purpose that we have is more than enough to share it with that freedom, because there is a great purpose behind.
Yes. Thank you, Atala. Thank you, Dr. McKinsey. It's always great. I mean, like I always wait for Wednesdays for us to get together and have these conversations, and looking forward for next week. We're going to have a guest, right, Dr. McKinsey?
Yes. Yep. I talked with him last night. He just needs to send over the information. That's all. But he is he's looking. He has said yes. So
awesome. And that's what's going to make Character-Driven Leadership Cafe stand out. We're going to be sharing topics and things that you need to learn in the leadership realm from different perspectives, for us to make sure that we are equipping you with the right tools that you need so you can start leading with character. And I hope that today was an episode that is packed with gems of things that we have shared. We look forward for you to leave your comments, your thoughts, and everything through our social media platforms, the Facebook group, the Instagram, and so much more are coming. Any final words from you, Atala, Dr. McKinsey, before we close out?
Just to say, like, listen to yourself and ask for help. And in the meantime, start working in forgiveness. because that's a liberation too. And I think that's one of the first things that leads to healing.
Exactly. All right. Don't forget to leave your thoughts, your comments, and everything. And let us know if you have something in mind that you need us to talk about, you want to contribute to our movement. You're most welcome. Until then, we are going to see you on next Wednesday. Right?
All right, that's it for this week's Table Talk Wednesdays. If this conversation sparks something for you, don't just scroll past it. We want you to share this with someone who leads or want to lead with character at the center. Also, we want you to drop your thoughts in the comments. Trust me, we read everyone. And if you believe that your voice could add something to this movement, don't hesitate to reach out. We will be back next Wednesday with another conversation that matters. Until then, lead with truth, lead with courage, and most of all, lead with character. Peace upon you.